Yesterday there was a lot of noise out of CES with the Iconic Arcade Street Fighter XXL machines being unveiled to the public. And one of the biggest things about this is that unlike the Arcade 1-up quarter size arcade units that everyone's come to love and sometimes hate in the arcade or the home arcade community, it looks like these are attempting to become more authentic sized units for more serious consumers and more serious home arcade enthusiasts. However, there's one feature of this that's not really being talked about a lot that I think is worth exploring, as I think Iconic Arcade is going to be taking a little bit of a different approach in the arcade market than companies like 1-up have done. So let's take a look. So yesterday on the Iconic Arcade website, we had seen their Street Fighter XXL units go live, and they already have breakdowns of what they offer. They already have basically pre-orders that you can do on these units. And a couple things worth highlighting in particular is that I'm not going to go through the full game list, but I do want to highlight that these machines are going to be bringing Street Fighter 3 as well as Street Fighter Alpha 2, which are big games for a lot of people, myself included. And one of the unique things about this, however, is in a lot of ways, this machine looks like an evolution of the Arcade 1-up units that we've seen, with basically a larger form factor than even their Pro or XL series cabinets. Now, this, as I understand, is a collaboration with Media1up, or John D as everyone knows him, basically getting into Iconic Arcade and allowing them different licensing for their units. But one thing that is actually fascinating about this unit is if you look at the tagline, they're advertising this as a multimedia arcade machine. One of the things I mentioned about the Iconic Arcade machine is that this machine behind me here has features to perform streaming or watch videos. And I think the angle that Iconic Arcade is going to be tapping into that Arcade 1-up hasn't or wouldn't do is that they're going to offer those features. But even deeper than that, this unit is, unlike the first generation Iconic Arcade machine like I have back here, it's not using a Pi 4, it's using a Pi 5, which is obviously to allow it better emulation, especially for more intensive games on the device. However, one of the advantages to using the Pi 4 or just having a unit like Iconic Arcade's standard multicade units that they've released is that the whole approach to it is that you have flexibility to customize and add or remove or do whatever you want in terms of your game selection. And my gut feeling is that this multimedia tagline is also going to encompass the fact that if you want to add different ROMs or different emulation stations, this isn't going to be a whole process of trying to mod your device. It's going to be that way out of the box, which is going to not just appeal to people who love things like Street Fighter 2, but also going to appeal to people who want to buy or spend a lot of money on a good unit, but also want to have the viability of a multicade. Now, I released a video recently on what I like or dislike about multicades versus standard units or 3/4 scale replica units, but I think this is kind of sitting in the middle in a good way, because there are a lot of people who'd rather spend really good money on a full-size arcade cabinet with the multicade capabilities, and there's also people who want a branded Street Fighter type unit and like that aesthetic and or only use it as that. And I love the fact that this is looking like, and again, this is speculation, but I'm pretty strong, have a pretty strong feeling that I'm going to be correct on how this is going to operate, and maybe we'll learn more as CES progresses. But I think this is offering basically flexibility to everybody, which is something that I felt like Arcade 1-up hasn't really ever dabbled in and won't dabble in. And ultimately, I think this is an exciting competitive product against a company like 1-up or some of the other smaller outfits who are in the home arcade community.